Hey guys, thanks for watching this channel where we provide you with tips and tools to help you move with purpose. In this video, I'm going to show you the first section of a flow that I like to use to mobilize the shoulder. This flow is awesome for a warm-up, recovery, or just general maintenance. For the first section of this flow, we're going to focus on mobilizing the shoulder in that overhead position. You're going to need to attach your large loop band to a high anchor point to start. But first, if you find this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you. We're going to use this band to add a little bit of traction to the joint to give it a little bit more space to move around to help with the mobilization. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand, put it under through the loop, pull it back a little bit so that it's on the back of my wrist, and then I'm going to reach over and grab both sides of that band to cinch it into place. Having the band cinched around your wrist and hand like this allows for a couple things to happen. It allows you to relax your hand while you're tractioning the motion, keeping it nice and secure in that pocket. The other thing is these bands are going to actually grip onto your skin a little bit, and it's going to help traction the fascia as well. So we're going to get deeper into the tissue that way. So what we're going to go ahead and do is hinge at the hips a little bit, keeping the spine nice and neutral from head through to that tailbone. You're going to walk back a little bit to put some tension on the band and some traction into the shoulder. Now we're not trying to rip the shoulder out of the socket here. All we're trying to do is create a little bit of space. So it's a bit of gentle traction. And that shoulder joint is generally unstable to begin with. All we're doing is giving it some space in the joint so that it has the room to move a little bit better and naturally center itself in that socket. So from here, I'm going to sit back into that neutral position. Right now, my arm is in that fully overhead position where we're roughly in line with the ear. But what I want to do to start with that gentle traction is just angle off a little bit from the overhead position so that it's not so extreme to start with. I'm going to start off with creating a little bit of space, letting that band pull my shoulder out a little bit, and then I'm going to think of sucking it back into the socket. So I'm going to think of bringing that shoulder blade down toward the armpit as well as back towards my spine and sucking the shoulder itself into the joint. From there, I'm going to release. So I'm going to do this as a pulsed motion. So what we're doing is we're creating a little bit of a succussive motion within the joint, and what that's going to do is promote the production of that lubricating synovial fluid, which is going to help nourish the joint as well as get it lubricated to move better. The other thing that we're doing here is we're starting to engage the dynamic stabilizers that surround that shoulder joint to keep it nice, safe, and secure. So we're activating those muscles, creating blood flow into that tissue, helping to nourish that tissue as well as the joint itself. So after we do that a few times and you start to feel a little bit of warmth in there, you might be able to traction a little bit more, but again, we're not getting too crazy with that. From here, in the same position, what I want to do is rotate from the shoulder joint. I'm going to turn my thumb all the way down, try to get the back of my hand facing the ground. So this rotation isn't coming out of the elbow, I'm rotating at the shoulder. Now, I don't want to collapse and roll over completely at this point. All I want to do is create a ball and socket rotation in that joint, just as far as I can. And then I'm going to rotate it back the opposite way, palm up towards the ceiling or further if you can. And this is just coming out of the shoulder joint. And that's all I'm doing. You might start to feel a nice stretch through the biceps as you roll down towards the ground. And then once again, back up towards the ceiling. And you're going to do this a few times until you start to feel a good release in that shoulder. Now, even just those subtle mobilizations are going to start to make that shoulder feel really good. From the 45-degree position, now we're going to angle ourselves back into that overhead position. Once again, I'm going to start with that succussive motion, letting the band traction the shoulder out a little bit, and then again, sucking the shoulder blade down to the armpit, as well as thinking about pulling that ball and socket joint. So once again, We're going to do that a few times. You won't need to do this as many times as it's the second time you're doing it. It's just a new position to get that shoulder comfortable with. From here, we're going to do the same thing before, where we're going to start to try to turn the top of that hand down toward the ground, but from within that shoulder joint, keeping that slight traction. And then we're going to rotate palm up toward the ceiling from the shoulder joint. Again, a few times. You're probably not going to need to do this as much as you did with that first position. The thing that we're going to add in after that now is I'm going to start to take a look underneath that armpit and stretch right into my lats all the way through down towards that hip. So I'm still trying to keep that spine neutral as I look underneath that shoulder. I'm going to hold it for a little bit, take some nice deep breaths, and then I'm going to rotate the opposite way. Here, I'm thinking about that armpit going towards the ground, looking up at the ceiling, getting some rotation out of that T-spine, taking a few nice and deep breaths in that position. So I'm going to rotate back and forth, good and controlled, opening up my lats and hip on this side, and then my T-spine and lats on the opposite side. I'm going to leave you with just those two portions of this shoulder mobilization flow for now. Stay tuned for the next section of this flow where we start to get into the pecs and anterior shoulder. Thanks again for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button and share with your friends. Thank you.